You guys, I don't know if I'm live yet. I'm just waiting around to see if it takes. This is only the second time I've streamed on Rumble. I've done it elsewhere, just not here. Says we've been going for a while here, but I'm not seeing that it's live on Rumble yet. There we go. Okay, hi everybody. We've been going for a while here, but I'm not seeing that it's live on Rumble yet. Now I gotta fix it so I'm not hearing my voice come back in. Hello everyone. Welcome to the show. Laverne's not here. It's not really the Havana Social Club. As a result, I usually only consider that to be the case when she's here because we have a conversational situation, something I don't usually see on a lot of the shows, the TI videos that are made. But Laverne is having her issues. I want to say hello to Laverne. She'll probably watch this video. Eventually, I'll send it to her. Um, she's having, what you would expect, problems with the program. They're being very effective with her right now, so please keep her in your prayers if you would. She's a wonderful woman. So lately, you guys have been seeing me being very critical of the targeted individual community. I'm shifting gears here. I'm moving over to I'm moving over to some articles I wrote just recently. Two of them are quite good. I put the links in the description. I hope it worked out. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with streaming on Rumble, but let's get to it. The first one I'm going to look at is exploiting reward systems. This one was something an article that was slow coming. I just sort of let it gather naturally rather than a single concerted pursuit of information. Um, So let's just get into it here. Exploiting reward systems, counterfeit counterfeit reinforcement and targeting, intermittent reinforcement, behavioral displacement, and spiritual containment. There's a readable essay version found below. That's where we're going to go, you guys, because I made this very academic in nature. It's serious topic. I think it deserves attention. I felt like it was worthy of the treatment of me buckling down and taking it a bit more serious. Plenty of references there. It's a well written piece, I think. But I wanted something that could be understood too because I think it's important to for us to understand what's going on here. So let's kind of go all the way down. It's below halfway down if you guys are following along in the article. Exploiting reward systems, counterfeit reinforcement and targeting, readable version essay form, and more of the same. So I'm going to try to set up my phone as a mobile hotspot and set it up as a something to save me, but I know it's not going to work that way. Why? Because I'm in the program. So I might have to switch over, but they can mess with that too. We're going to continue. I hope that it's working. Um, I'm going to take a look real fast here. I apologize for this, you guys. Says we're 5 minutes in. All right. This is actually me trying, so I genuinely apologize. You know how it is if you're targeted. I'm going to check here once again. There we go. Okay, hi everybody. We've been going for a while here, but this is actually me trying. So, well, I think that we're back on track. I genuinely apologize. You guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to keep this up. You know what's happening here. They're messing with this. They don't want this out. These articles are important. Please read these on your own if you would. If I'm unable to continue with this video, that's the primary reason I'm making the video is to get the articles out there. Okay, hi everybody. It's in my opinion, it's important work. Um, so I'm going to bring it up. I think that we're back on track. Um, so into the introduction again. The targeting program does not merely harass, but it does that, doesn't it? It manipulates human reward systems, probing emotional baselines and installing counterfeit reinforcement loops. These loops are subtle but powerful. They redirect attention away from core values, faith, purpose, creativity, and toward dependency on an artificial source of pleasure. In effect, the program counterfeits the very process by which human beings derive meaning and motivation. Human reward systems in brief. At the core of human psychology lies the reward system, a dopamine-driven mechanism that reinforces behaviors aligned with survival and fulfillment. These systems respond to basic needs such as approval, companionship, intimacy, and recognition of achievement. Decades of behavioral research have shown that intermittent reinforcement, rewards given unpredictably rather than consistently, produces the strongest conditioning effect. Slot machines, social media notifications, and even certain interpersonal dynamics exploit this principle. The targeting program appears to employ the same logic, but in a far more invasive and comprehensive manner. The counterfeit reward loop. The program begins by probing for home-based emotional states. These are those core needs and vulnerabilities around which an individual naturally orients. Having identified them, it delivers counterfeit reinforcement precisely when genuine fulfillment occurs. For example, a subject may experience a surge of counterfeit ecstasy after producing a brilliant musical phrase, say as a musician, a singer, or after articulating a sharp insight. In fact, whatever is done well may be reacted to in this way. The reinforcement is deliberately varied in intensity and always short-lived. The idea is to hijack the body's reward system. And then one of the ways it's done is that they get there first or something, or more noticeably, and we pay attention to their reward and not our own. They will also reward us at times that the body wouldn't naturally do it. That's something I'll get into. The reinforcement is deliberately varied. This combination produces a cycle of dependency. The subject begins to anticipate the next counterfeit surge and unconsciously adjusts behavior to maximize its occurrence. Wow. In effect, the program creates an in-house reward system bypassing the traditional requirement of a human audience. Crucially, this process works on two temporal levels. Immediate recognition is possible. The subject often senses the counterfeit reward as it arrives. The pat on the back, the unnatural high, the brief euphoria. Cumulative recognition is delayed. What escapes notice in the moment is the larger trajectory. Each burst seems isolated, but over weeks or months, the pattern crystallizes into displacement. Attention drifts subtly but steadily toward the counterfeit source and away from authentic anchors. Displacement meaning replacing completely whatever it is. Like, for example, replacing the body's reward system. If I were to, as a musician, play well the guitar, instead of looking to my body's reward system, I will be at that point completely dependent and looking forward to theirs after a certain period of doing this. Now, when I mentioned that the body will, it's more selective in how it rewards. Well, when it's necessary, as we've discussed, for the psychological aspect to be its most effective, for them to be, intermittent with it. But they still do it more than the body does, and they will reward at times that the body wouldn't, in a way that leads one to be satisfied with their level of work, whereas they otherwise would not be. It slows down progress in this way, in my experience. So it's something that needs to be kept. They do this to me, and I just dismiss it at this point. I do my best to dismiss it. I'm only human, and they really have me isolated. So it's very difficult for me to say no to be honest with you. But I do the best I can and just move on because I've got bigger goals, man. I don't want to impress quickly and easily. I want blood, sweat, and tears to be involved. So let's move on here. Modern science adds two more insights into why this works. Neuroscientists have shown that the brain processes signals on two different tracks, one fast and precise, the other slower and more lingering. Counterfeit reinforcement can take advantage of both, sometimes arriving as a sharp jolt, sometimes as a diffuse wave. At the same time, engineers have already begun developing nanotech capable of sending signals directly into the nervous system and having them show up on the surface as if they were natural. In other words, counterfeit reinforcement is not only a psychological trick, but also a technological possibility, obviously. You know, but it's been established essentially, is what that's trying to say. The net effect is profound. Counterfeit intimacy, counterfeit companionship, and ultimate counterfeit identity. Along with this comes a deceptive quality. Each event appears isolated and benign, preventing the subject from recognizing the entire mechanism as a system. Only with time and only after displacement has occurred does the larger structure become visible. It's not too dissimilar to not being able to see yourself grow as a child. It happens slowly, but surely, And next thing you know, it becomes very difficult to come back. I'm not saying that it's impossible because it isn't. After a displacement has occurred, there is a path back, but it takes work. I want to check to make sure I'm still going here. Okay, looks like I am. For the false finish line, the counterfeit rewards. Okay, I tapped into this earlier, but we're going to do it again here. The counterfeit rewards don't just distort pleasure; they rearrange effort itself by dangling satisfaction where nature would not have placed it. They build artificial lines. These moments whisper, "You've done enough. Rest. You've earned it." But it's a trap. What feels like accomplishment is actually containment. The rhythm of labor and reward has been stolen, leaving us content with a shallow echo of achievement. For me, this has become a core of rebellion. I refuse the easy. I want the challenge, the friction, the honest climb. When I sense the false finish line placed in my path, I brush it aside and keep working. That act of rejection, continuing despite their counterfeit applause, is the most defiant reward of all. Spiritual displacement, perhaps the most dangerous consequence, is not psychological but spiritual. I would agree with this section. This is my position, actually. Counterfeit highs do not merely coexist with authentic connection to God, they compete with it. The implicit message is that path is closed now, only we can reward you. This is a lie. Neural pathways remain open, and so do spiritual ones. Do not give up. The task is to find other routes, moving from idea to idea, memory to memory until connection is restored. It works and it presents itself as a usable pathway, a kind of mental 7 degrees of separation, if you will. Resilience emerges from recognition, or recognizing multiplicity. There are always many routes back to God through prayer, debate with the self, scripture, creativity, or simple faith. The counterfeit seeks exclusivity. The truth offers redundancy. God in itself, our inception, our concept of God can be kind of fiddled with to some degree because we don't really know. We kind of have we throw something out there and this is what we stick with. But the truth of the matter is that God is here. God is with us. God is in us. And so if we tend to think like, oh, he's keeping, they're keeping us from connecting that God that's at this faraway place, well, that point of view, that framework can be shifted and changed into recognition that God is actually inside us, and we don't have to. It's not. There's no barrier between us and us. You know what I mean? So it's essentially it's a reframing that allows different neural pathways to be used to get us to our goal. Case example, consider the following trajectory. After producing a moment of genuine brilliance on the guitar, in writing, or insight, can you tell I'm a musician? Counterfeit pat on the back arrives accompanied by a short burst of ecstasy. In the moment, the subject knows this is not mine. Immediate recognition occurs. What is not grasped is the slow accretion of these moments. Each counterfeit burst appears trivial, but over time they accumulate into a gravitational pull. Attention shifts incrementally toward the counterfeit reinforcement and away from the divine. Only later does awareness crystallize. The loop itself has been the true weapon. Recognition of this cumulative pattern breaks the loop and restores sovereignty. It begins the breaking of the loop. I had changed that in the earlier one, but not in this one. It allows for the breaking of the loop. But recognition in and of itself does not break the loop. I'm sorry to say, but it allows. I mean, obviously, you can't accomplish something you don't realize needs to be accomplished. So recognition is the first step, and then steps can be taken, and it is doable. I've never seen anyone talk about this. I've never seen anyone write on this. But this is absolutely part of the program because I live it. So, integration into human influence cartography. That's the human influence cartography is a framework that I developed that seeks to uh, comprehensively cover the vectors of human influence, essentially the ways that they can harm us, both physically, mentally, the brain, everything. Uh, Even more, it's pretty complex. I should have linked it. I didn't realize we were going to be touching on to it, but let's move on. Uh, I will link it after the live aspect is over, and it's just up there. Um, so this phenomenon maps across multiple domains within the human influence cartography. I don't know that we should even. Let's go ahead. Effective domain manipulation of emotional needs through artificial reward. Spiritual domain counterfeit connection presented as substitute for divine connection. Influence map juxtaposition of authentic reward loops. Faith, achievement, love with counterfeit loops. Yeah. Operational topology, a conditioning cycle consisting of achievement, counterfeit reinforcement, short ecstasy, dependency, combined with denial of authentic connection, only to just obviously the cycle part didn't say it well enough. It's going to start over again, damn it, and it's going to keep going. You know what I mean? Jeez. But we can do something about it, like I'm saying. So, taken together, this case exemplifies a multi-domain intrusion designed for long-term containment. However, I think and it's very effective in getting you there. But is it effective at keeping you there? That's something I can't yet report on. I can't tell you how effective my methods are to resist long term yet. So, but I will. I'll report on it. Conclusion: targeting does not merely injure at counterfeits. Counterfeit intimacy and counterfeit reward are among its most powerful weapons, precisely because they operate over time and beneath recognition of their cumulative effect. Immediate awareness of each event is possible, but recognition of what they amount to comes only rarely, and when it does, it's usually after displacement has already taken hold. Yet even belated awareness is liberating. Naming the counterfeit breaks its hold or allows you to start. Sovereignty of mind and spirit is preserved not by resisting every surge, but exposing the pattern for what it is and then beginning the work. I thought I had done all this. I think it was the other version. Um, so that's a really important thing for them to. The human reward system is unbelievably powerful. Let's talk about that for a second. It is what drives the human species. It's what makes us, uh, you know, um, want to have sex, just to put it out there. It makes us want to do all the things. It drives us to do the things that we want to do, and it keeps us from doing the things that we find to be distasteful. Um, so it's you can see then. I mean, people die in pursuit of sex. Okay, it's an extremely powerful base instinct and need. So yeah, they marshal this thing. They get a hold of this thing, and combine it with psychology into a very to methodologies that are very difficult to see, but still do their damage. I'm very grateful that I was able to recognize that this was the case and it was happening because, again, this information is not available other places that I've seen. If other people have written on it, please link those um, the articles or videos or anything like that in the comment section. Thanks, guys. Let's move on. Let me make sure one more time that they didn't ruin this yet. I say yet because I'm being realistic. So let's move on to the next one, which is entitled. Now, here's another one that is. I had people asking me to write this article. There's a gentleman that I've known for years that has, I swear there's not a single word he utters. He's a target individual that doesn't have the word chemical in the sentence somewhere or some sort of a chemical. He sees the whole program as being chemical based, and I'm not sure that he's wrong. But I do know this, that he was talking in a way that the rest of us couldn't comprehend, couldn't understand. So I took the information, I did some investigation, and that I combined it with a bunch of other investigation on the chemical aspect because it's the way that it presents is actually very expansive. So let's take a look at what we have here. The chemical targeting, sorry, the substrate of control. The unseen layer, chemical sabotage as primer for electromagnetic and psychological assault. Historical precedent. Chemical interference with human biology is not new. The US and UK governments have already admitted to covert tests. MK Ultra, 50s and 60s. The CIA secretly dosed unwitting subjects with LSD, mescaline, and other agents. Some were slipped into drinks in bars or cafes, others given to hospital patients without consent. Still others observed through one-way mirrors in safe houses. The program was less about science than about perfecting invisible sabotage, how to alter perception, behavior, or memory in ways that could later be denied. The obsession with plausible deniability ran through every layer. Yeah, they were learning how to plausibly deny, which they're pretty good at this point. Cold War aerosol trials. Cities including St. Louis, Minneapolis, and Winnipeg were sprayed with zinc, cadmium sulfide, or live bacteria such as Bacillus subtilis. I don't have that, I don't think. So I have a right to not be able to pronounce it correctly. Mm. The substances were released. I'm sorry, they're making my throat burn for the record. The substances were released from rooftops, moving vehicles, even aircraft. Entire urban populations became unconsenting test subjects. Government memos openly called the exercises simulations of covert attack, their goal being to normalize the logistics of poisoning at scale without alerting the public. Now, they're not going to be able to do this in wartime, mind you, because they'll get shot. You know, it's not like the enemy's like, oh, what you doing there? I'm poisoning you. Don't mind me. So this is meant for us. These programs show a through line in methodology. Begin the secret dosing of the individual, scale up to secret exposure of the population, and protect it all with official denial until decades later. Biology was the battlefield, and deniability was the shield. Well, they got good at it. Poison as baseline. This is the pattern that continues today. The first step in targeting is weakening the body. Target individuals describe this every day. Fog that clouds over the mind, exhaustion that greets them at waking. Synthetic emotions injected like a drug. Pain flares that appear on cue. Sexual intrusions that arrive like broadcasts. These are not accidents of biology, they're a result of biochemical sabotage. Consumer products as delivery systems. Soft drinks, the public record shows fluorescent nanoparticles in Coca-Cola and Pepsi, particles capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier and accumulating in organs. Official science calls them byproducts, but the effect is the same, a body seeded with foreign material. Fast food independent testing has found traces of birth control hormones in chain restaurant meals. Did you know that? Whether intentional or accidental, the result is widespread endocrine disruption, mood swings, fertility interference, hormonal imbalance, A population chemically shifted is a population easier to manage. And I expect that those particular burgers, etc., were not served up only to the ladies. We got some issues. Outright poisoning of food or drink. Beyond nanoparticles and systemic exposure, there is the blunt instrument of direct poisoning. Many targeted individuals report the experience of having their food or drink tampered with, sometimes leading to violent illness and vomiting that lasts for days. I've heard this many, many times from many targeted individuals. To the best of my knowledge, this has not happened to me. I don't know that it's necessary. I've kind of got a weak stomach, and they can kind of do what they need to get me to throw up with their electronic stuff, and they do. Uh, I've spent time in the hospital because of that. Not a small amount either, and not just one time. Many times in the hospital over a long period of time because of vomiting. That most likely was just the targeting. We don't need to go into all that. One registered nurse who volunteered her story, herself a targeted individual, underwent a full toxicology screen. The findings were extraordinary. Arsenic and snake venom detected in her system, along with several other toxins. For her, this was not speculation, but medical confirmation. The body itself carrying the record of the attack. A registered nurse, so she had access to these tests, you know. She asked Tom over there and in the lab, say, hey, would you run this test? Who she knows by first name. You feel me? Didn't cost her nothing, probably. Yeah, and I know this woman. She's a sweetheart. Moving on. Unlike remote technological interference, this cannot be done at a distance. It requires close physical proximity. Someone slipping something into a plate or glass. The intimacy of that intrusion has its own psychological weight. The realization that someone is standing close enough to poison you while appearing utterly oblivious is unnerving in itself. And I want to talk about that. It can be psychologically disturbing to the individual that's having it done to, but I want to take a look at the psychology of the person that's doing it. Look, I can eat a burger, but if I had to go slit the throat of a cow every time I was hungry, I might reconsider. The people that are doing this are not just pressing buttons at a distance. They're coming and doing this thing up front and, up and close. This is not a sniper shot. This is a more closer to a stabbing. Very intimate. It probably makes them feel, real thrilled, like a real James Bond type stuff. They're really, on a mission now. You know what I mean? I wonder if they give them Q level, gadgetry or something, just to get them to shut up and do their job. This tactic doubles the damage. The body is weakened through chemical assault. The mind is disturbed by the knowledge that one's most basic boundaries, food, drink, safety, and daily rituals have been violated. And it serves another purpose as well. For the perpetrator, it is a taste of spy life. There we go. An initiation into the clandestine. The thrill of crossing a line in secret. Finally, you made something of yourself. Wouldn't mom be proud now? The air itself. Chemtrails are no longer merely a suspicion. What was once dismissed as conspiracy is now openly discussed under the names of geoengineering and solar radiation management. Programs propose dispersing particulates, aluminum, barium, sulfur polymers into the upper atmosphere to reflect sunlight and stabilize climate. Nothing could go wrong there, right? Bill Gates himself has funded these projects. Oh, so you know it's good. Including Harvard's SCOPEX experiment, which openly planned to spray reflective particles into the sky to block sunlight. The cover story is environmental stewardship. The effect is mass chemical exposure. Jeez. What did he say to that? You, sir, are an idiot, Bill Gates. Moving on. For targeted individuals, the impact is direct. Every breath becomes a form of dosing, subtle enough to deny, constant enough to have effect. The atmosphere itself becomes a medium of control, weakening biology and altering the baseline of human experience. The substrate layer. This was the one that gentleman would refer to frequently and spoke in, it was like he was talking Greek. We did not understand what he was talking about. I did the research and this is what I came up with, you guys. The substrate layer, preliminary observational reports from targeted individuals suggests the presence of environmental substrates consistent with volatile organic compounds, VOCs, using commercially available surveillance kits, e.g., multi-camera perimeter systems. Participants have documented particulate activity otherwise invisible to the naked eye. Recordings describe filamentous structures, rectangular strings with spurting tails, and micron-sized motes suspended in air exhibiting transient persistence. This is not dissimilar to what one sees with VOCs, by the way. This sounds like something you would see in a late 60s Beatles film or something, but it's not. This is consistent. Given their hydrocarbon profile, such aerosols are hypothesized, I'm sorry, you guys are hitting me, to integrate into biological systems as acidic metabolites or potential carcinogenic precursors. These accounts are occasionally supported by simultaneous spikes in consumer-grade TVOC air quality monitors, suggesting measurable, though non-specific changes in local atmospheric chemistry, which is fascinating. It'd be nice to think that we could measure these things. Um, uh, I don't know why I didn't expand that more. Moving on, though. From a systems perspective, chemical substrates may serve as priming agents with the broader targeting architecture. By compromising baseline physiology, they could theoretically increase susceptibility to subsequent electromagnetic or sonic exposures. In this framework, chemical weakening precedes and potentiates neuromodulatory interventions, a sequential architecture rather than isolated modalities. It's all a working machine, is what that means. The needle is gateway, here as Dr. Anna Maria Mihalcia. Anybody know how to pronounce her name? Mihalcia. I see her speak a lot, but I've never had to. That's the first time I've ever tried to pronounce her name, which is why it was so bad. I had to learn how to spell it, and that was difficult to know. But I can do it now. So, Dr. Anna Maria, MD, PhD, is most explicit. Hydrogels, lipid nanoparticles, and unexplained inclusions self-assemble inside the body, creating an infrastructure that can make cells behave as antenna, receptive, resonant, and externally steerable. What this means is that it's potentially, it's possible that implants are no longer necessary. It depends on. I would expect that there are different kinds of implants that were meant for different things. With different sort of abilities. Focus is the word I'm looking for. So they may still be necessary, but I mean, God, they got to be happy with this, right? So you can find her written work on Substack and a video interview. From Mechanism to Lived Reality. God, here we go. Dr. Mihalcia describes how it is done. Targeted individuals describe what it feels like. The bridge is seamless. Mechanism: nanoparticles seeded through food, drink, air, and injection. Hydrogels forming scaffolds. Cells turned into antenna. Experience: fog cognition. As if to demonstrate. Fogged cognition, synthetic emotions, exhaustion, pain, intrusive thoughts, life lived inside a poisoned and networked organism. Now, I do not propose that these things are strictly chemical, and that's not what we've suggested thus far. It's part of the whole thing. It conditions the body to be more easily influenced by the electronic weaponry. But there's probably more to it than we understand at this point. The architect's hand. When asked who benefits, the same name returns. Bill Gates himself has spoken of using vaccines to reduce global population, presenting it as a benevolent act of sustainability, when there's no, by the way, information to suggest that that's necessary even slightly. His investments in genetic modification, synthetic biology, and climate manipulation reveal a guiding principle: the human being as a programmable platform. Clearly he sees us as cattle, property. The Georgia Guidestones, I don't know if we tap into that. I thought we did. Talk about eliminating 15 out of every 16 people alive today. It doesn't say it in those words, though. But that's why I love saying it that way because it brings the reality of it. It says that it wants what 500 million left. Well, when you do the math, that's what it works out to. That means 15 out of 16 of us got to die. So, yeah, it sounds better the way that they put it, I guess. Let's see what we got here. Moving on, though. Looks like there is a bit more. The system's denial, the brilliance of this design is its camouflage, just like everything else they do in the targeting program, right? If someone collapses, it is blamed on diet, stress, or age. If their thoughts feel invaded, it is written off as delusion. If their energy vanishes, it is chalked up to lifestyle. The chemical veil gives the system what it craves most, plausible deniability. Without poison as primer, the rest of the architecture would struggle to stand. Now, when we look at V2K, it's the same thing. You go to try to talk about that, and now you're crazy, right? And now you've got and see, and I wrote an article about this, how medicine, their failings, pin it on us as issues with us that we now have to carry around. The failings of medicine become burdens that we have to carry around for the rest of our lives. I mean, it's enough to take you off just a little bit. And that's what we're seeing here. But we need to recognize that medicine, psychiatry, and all of that are on board with all of this. They're part and parcel to it all. They're tools to get the job done. They're just like the weaponry that's used on us. They are weapons that are used on us. So don't think otherwise. So I think that about does it, you guys. I sure hope it's still going. And again, I missed you, Laverne, when you watch this. So I hope you're doing well. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. I'll try to make another one here soon. I'm always writing articles, and I have a lot to catch up on, some things that I want to cover article-wise. I don't have enough in the way of places to put because I'm a target individual. I write about things that are inconvenient, and they do a really good job of scrubbing me from the internet. I'm not allowed to post in most places. So it's very important then for me to make these videos, and hopefully it's a little easier for people to understand too. So, anyways, you guys, thank you so much. God bless the TIs, and take care. We'll see you guys next time.